Hey folks, welcome back to the farm. We've got a different project for you today. We've got a special issue we've been dealing with, and we've come up with a special solution. So stick around, we'll show you what's going on. So we got the neighbor's cornfield out here to our north, and we've had a crazy north wind a couple times, and they just harvested that field, so there was corn trash that come out of the back of the combine that usually they leave there for the cows. That you can probably see the cows out there in the field, but most of their forage has blown up in here onto our property since those strong winds that we had. We've got corn junk out here in our yard like 1.5 feet deep. So we've come up with an interesting solution that we want to try. We borrowed a giant vacuum cleaner. This is a stall vac, they call it, for cleaning out like horse stalls. And it's got a big motor and impeller on it, and it blows everything into this dump bed trailer. It's got filters up here to allow air to escape as the material goes in, and once it gets full, you can dump it. So we've kind of rigged it up a little bit. We've got the tube, the suction tube, coming out the side over here. We're going to pull it with a tractor. So I took the tube, I routed it up underneath the ROPS bar, so when I turn the tractor, the tube will turn with it, so it's in center line. And then I brought the tube down the side, tied it to the loader frame, and then we came down here on the pallet forks and tied it on the end here. So this will allow me to make that tube go up and down if need be. And we can go along with the giant vacuum into this hose here and suck up some of those corn stalks. Kind of a crazy looking contraption, but we're going to give it a try and see if it works. So I didn't have to pay for the rent on this rig. They traded me work. They said if I was to service this 35 horsepower engine, that I could use it for free. So I said, deal, we can do that. So I'm going to go get some ear protectors because this blower is pretty loud. Let's turn this on and get it warmed up a little bit. Well, as you probably figured out as quick as I did, that wasn't a very efficient operation. So I've cut the hose all down, and it's got a metal tube here with handles on it where you can just kind of carry it around and suck up the leaves. I think might go a little quicker that way. We're going to give it a try. Well, the vacuum was doing really good. I was able to move around a lot quicker running that thing by hand until we had a catastrophic failure over here. These two back doors just suddenly blew open. The blower created so much force or pressure inside the door in here that the aluminum latches for the door just blew right off. Boom. I don't know if it's because it's cold today or what happened, but bad choice using aluminum anyway. Should have used steel. So now we got to repair that. And you can bet I'm going to use some steel. Now while we're stopped, I'll show you another option that comes with this. You can take that tube off of the suction side, put this tube on, this thing goes to the ground, and you can just rake stuff into there if you're into raking. If I'm going to do that though, I'll just rake it up into a pile and use that hand suction over there. But those doors are not supposed to blow out like that, obviously. You have these filters here, there's 4 of them, 2 on each corner, that when they get plugged, this thing loses suction, and you know when they're plugged. So there should never be enough pressure to blow those doors open no matter what. So that's just a design flaw. Here's the company here, Buddy Trailers. So Buddy Trailers, if you've seen this or you know somebody that works there, send them this video and they can maybe start making those out of steel. So what we'll do now, we'll go over to the compost pile. We'll dump this trailer out before we do a fix because we don't want to make a giant fire in there and all them corn leaves. Alright, got it parked over here by the shop so this can be fixed. My original thought was to make some new ones, but we have a truck parts place there in town, so I'm going to check out first, see if they have some steel ones, because those look like standard latches. But the sun's going down now and it's getting cold. When the sun goes down here in Nebraska this time of year, it puts a chill on. So time to get in the house and think about supper and get warmed up. We'll go look for these parts and we'll get this thing fixed. Okay, next day we were able to find our parts in town. There's a top and bottom of these, so you've got to get the opposite. So when you're buying those, Come to find out, these were not aluminum. These are steel, but they're cast steel, very brittle. You can see there the makeup of that steel, cast iron, whatever it is. Not very good. These seem to be more stout, but we will see, I guess. So you gotta pull the bolts out, put those on. Got our pieces on and the door engages just fine. But I found something else. Up there, the hook is completely missing. The piece that engages inside this latch here is completely busted off. And you can see how brittle that looks. Just crazy. Just sheared right off. And it had to be at the same time because I found this piece, the top piece, down on the ground. So it must have busted top and bottom at the same time. I went over and looked for this piece. It's gone. Not that I'd want to weld that back on in the first place because that's just junk pot metal. You can see the pipe right there. So now we got to make a hook. So all of these collars holding this on are all welded on. So I don't want to cut everything loose off of here. But we'll probably cut this one off and then clean this up down to where it's only one thickness here. We'll have to make a new collar or hold down. And then I can get at this, grind this out of here. And then we'll get our arc welder out here after I make that hook. We'll tack it in place and then we can turn the handle to turn it around and get a good weld on it all the way around. But I got to cut this nasty cast off here first, and then I think I can drive that center down into the pipe. So basically what we have left up here is a 3/4 pipe. So I had a piece of 3/4 shaft, and I had a piece of, I think that's like 1¼1.5 shaft. So I'm gonna make that sit down in there. I didn't drill it exactly in the center, so it'll cam over a little bit. So now we just got to put a foot on here. So I'm thinking another piece of this 3/4 on the end would probably do it. Just weld a piece of 3/4 on here and then sand it around. And then I recessed it in there so I can get a good weld on that. And then I'll also weld it down here on the bottom, which will leave a gap down here when I put it in, and then that'll leave me a spot for a good weld all the way around there. So there's our piece. So once we weld that on, when we turn the handle, that'll cam right into that pocket right in there. Hold the door tight. So we'll just get the door closed. We'll put this where it needs to go, and then we'll start welding this, and then we can rotate the handle to get to the other side. Okay, for the outside welding, we've converted to stick welder. So all we had to do was unplug the MIG lead, put the positive stick lead in here, 1/8 6013. We've set that into the welder. We don't have to worry about gas. And then I have welder lead extensions. I just go out as far as I can with the leads that come with a welder, and then I have wires to go the rest of the way. So we'll get up there and get that welded. All right, there's our cam lock, and all we had to do is take the piece that we cut off here, the collar, and I just welded it back on. So didn't have to make a new collar, but we'll show you how it works. Works just perfect. Cammed right in there. Right on. Well, now that we've got our gate fixed, we need to give this thing a try. We're burning daylight and got some piles to pick up, so let's get rolling. Well, we got about a half a trailer of corn garbage there. Just got to dump her out. Well, that's a lot of garbage out of the yard. There's no way I could have did that with a mower. I could have maybe gone 5 feet and the mower bag would have been completely full. Well, after all the repairs, we got some decent use out of it. Mainly wanted to focus on our lawn. There's still corn just littered on this property everywhere. Just as far as you can see, there's corn. We're going to be dealing with it for quite some time, but at least the lawn's clear, and now if I want to pick up some little stuff, I can just run the mower over it. But a couple crazy repairs that I didn't anticipate, but we got her done. Well, Kelly's home and it's supper time, so we're going to go in and figure supper out and get cleaned up. And I'm starting to wonder how guinea tastes. Maybe it's tasty. Let me know if you ever had it. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Love you guys. Come back and see us here on the farm. We've got lots more to do, plenty to do, never done. See ya.